everyone, welcome back to another video. For today's video, I am going to continue doing my one note series. I do have a few videos where I talk about a specific note and I let you guys know all of the fragrances in my collection that contain that note. So for today's video, we are going to be talking about raspberry. Raspberry can have a very tart, fruity, juicy type of feel when you have it in a fragrance, and it's a note that once you pick it up, you can pretty much pick it up anywhere because it's a very distinct note. I really enjoy raspberry in my fragrances, and it can be interpreted in so many different ways. You can have it in a gourmand, you can have it in a summer fragrance, you can have it in so many different types of fragrances. So for today's video, I am going to be sharing the fragrances in my collection that have raspberry in them, and I'm going to be going from the ones that I kind of feel the least raspberry in them, and then I'm going to work myself up to the ones that I could get it the most, and the ones where I feel like the raspberry is the most prominent. Those are going to be the last ones I talk about. Before I get started, if you are new to my channel, welcome. My name is Amy. I do videos on fragrance, beauty, self-care, body care. If you're into those types of videos, then please consider subscribing and hitting the notification bell so that you're notified whenever I upload a new video. And if you are a returning subscriber, welcome back. Thank you so much for being here with me today, and I appreciate all of the love and support. And with that said, let's go ahead and let's get started with today's video. I'm going to be talking about raspberry today. I do have 20 fragrances to talk about. I like to give you all of my fragrances that contain the note raspberry in them. I know that a lot of you guys like one note fragrance videos because if you like that note, then you want to know what other fragrances have that note. So I'm not going to be going into a very detailed review on each of these because I want to get through them as quick as possible. Okay, so let's start off with the first fragrance that has raspberry. I don't really feel like this one is super prominent in raspberry, but this is the Naomi by Naomi Campbell fragrance, and this one has a lot of guava, so I pick up the guava more than the raspberry, but you have raspberry in the top notes. So I'm going to be putting all of the notes in the screen for all of the fragrances, but this one I pick up way more of the guava. The raspberry is in there. Yeah, the raspberry gives it like a very nice juicy touch, but it's very mixed in with the guava. This fragrance is really nice. It has a little bit of caramel, it has coffee, guava, raspberry. It's very unique notes. And the lasting power is not so bad for it being a celebrity fragrance. It lasted on my skin pretty good. The next one I'm going to talk about is Haute Couture by Givenchy. And this one to me is more prominent on the strawberry, but there is raspberry in here. This is the Eau de Toilette, by the way. And this one has bergamot and lemon in the opening, and then in the middle notes is where you have raspberry and strawberry along with spices, florals. There's vetiver, amber, and musk in here, and this one just gives like a smoky strawberry vibe. I do have an in-depth review on this fragrance. I'm going to be linking it at the top of this video. I love this one. This one's really unique, but again, not the highest amount of raspberry in here. I do pick it up a little bit, but this one's more of a strawberry scent for me. Okay, this next one is La Nuititras Musk Diamant, and this one has raspberry as one of the notes, but I do pick up musk and almond the most in this fragrance. But the raspberry gives it like this sweet, fruity vibe to it. Really, really nice. The raspberry is in the opening along with violet leaf. It just gives it like a juicy opening along with that musk and the almond, which give it a little bit of a nutty, musky feeling. This fragrance is gorgeous and it lasts so long. This fragrance, I can put this one on at night and still the next day smell it on my skin, not just on my clothes. It clings onto the skin so good, and it's beautiful. This next one is the Key from Justin Bieber, and this one has raspberry in it, but to be honest, this one I pick up more of the boysenberry type, and like it has more of like a, this one has peach, this one has boysenberry, it has mandarin orange, pear, and then the raspberry in this one is in the base. So usually raspberry, I see it more in the opening notes. This one is in the base, but again, not as much raspberry as the ones that are going to be coming up. It is just in the fragrance. Here is another one that has raspberry, but I honestly get a strawberry explosion from this one, and this one is Burberry Her. I describe this one as like a powdery strawberry, kind of like a fluffy, sweet strawberry type of fragrance, but there is raspberry in here, and I'm sure that that helps. You can kind of sense the raspberry in this one. Very pretty. I love this fragrance so much. Beautiful, beautiful fragrance. The next one that has raspberry in it is Versace Eros, and this is the EDT. This one, I get more of, this is your citrus with raspberry. So you're gonna pick up on a lot of the citrusy notes in this one. But I do pick up the raspberry a little stronger in this one. So we're moving up on the raspberry being present in the fragrance. This one is raspberry with like a citrusy lemon. I don't remember if this one has lemon, but yeah, this one opens up with white currant, lemon, mandarin orange, and there's raspberry in the opening. And I did pick up the raspberry. It's just a more citrusy. It's a little sweet and fruity, but there's a lot of citrus in it as well. This is such a good one. You guys can see that I am more than halfway done with this one. I love that this one is citrusy, but then it also has a sweet juiciness to it. Super good. All right, the next one that has raspberry in it is Wild Poppy by Nest. And this one, I consider it more of like your floral raspberry. So there's a lot of floral. There is Grasse Rose in here and jasmine. I pick up a lot of the jasmine in this fragrance. And then there's apricot and pear. So the raspberry's in here, but it's kind of very mixed in with all of the other notes. The main note that I pick up in this one is jasmine. But this is just a really pretty, like a springtime floral scent. You have to like florals, which I'm not the biggest fan of florals, but I can do this one because it's sweetened up with those other notes. But yeah, this one is another one that contains raspberry. All right, this next one is like a deep, dark raspberry. Still don't know how I feel about it. It's still in my collection, but it's not a fragrance that I would gravitate towards. But this one has raspberry in the middle notes, and this is the Nina Ricci Extas. I have a really small bottle of this one, and this one contains caramel, there's amber, there's peach, pear, you have rose, you have white florals. This is like a very complex type of fragrance to me. I pick up a lot of different notes, and the raspberry is in here, but it's just like a deep, dark raspberry, but it is not a fruity, sweet type of raspberry. There's sweetness in here, but there's also a lot of deep, darker notes. This is definitely one to wear somewhere in the nighttime, more like of a dressing up type of fragrance. This next one uses raspberry in such a beautiful way, and after this one, I do start picking up the raspberry note way more in the next ones that I'm gonna mention. But this one, I just love the use of raspberry in this one. It is in the middle notes, and this is by Raja Parfums, and this is Elixir. As you guys can see, I have used up some of this fragrance because I just love how feminine and just This is a very flirty, floral, fruity fragrance. And this one also has rose, there's peach, ylang ylang, violet. I pick up a lot of that violet. And the raspberry is in there, giving it a little bit of tartness, a little bit of fruitiness. This is such a beautiful, nicely done fragrance. So good. I see this one like a flirty, just very girly, but you're a woman, you're not a little girl. This one is really, really nice. So moving on from this point forward, these last 10 fragrances that I'm gonna talk about are the ones that I pick up the most raspberry in them, and my favorite raspberry scents. So let's start off with this first one, and this is by YSL. This is Mon Paris EDT. I cannot handle the EDP version, but I do love the EDT. And this one has a lot of berries, but it has raspberry in it. And it is so good. This one is so nice for date night, a night out. So, so good. And I feel like this one leaves a very nice trail behind. It has very nice projection and sillage. And the berries in here are just so good. It's such a juicy, sexy fragrance. And the raspberry, I do pick it up way more in this one. Okay, this next one is more of a coconut fragrance to me, but the raspberry in here is beautiful, and it is just what gives this fragrance its uniqueness. And this is Ariana Grande's Thank You Next. I got this one mainly because of the coconut. There's macaroons in here, there's raspberry. Such a good fragrance. I love this fragrance, and the raspberry and the coconut are just so beautiful. This is definitely one that I loved from the first time that I sniffed this fragrance. It's so nice. Such a girly raspberry coconut. I wouldn't even really consider this one beachy because it's more of like a tropical coconut with that sweet, very sweet. This is such a good one, and I don't have anything in my collection that smells like this, so I really, really like this one. I'm glad that I have the bigger bottle in this one. This one's a really, really nice one. This next one has raspberry. It also has ginger. I believe it also has caramel, and this one is Nina Ricci's Chant the Extas. I love the bottle, and this is like a summery gourmand. So you have the aquatic feel to this one. It also has the sweet caramel, and it also has the raspberry side to it, which I pick up really well in this one. Nina Ricci's fragrances tend to have raspberry in them, and they are beautiful. Yes, the raspberry in here is just amazing, and it opens up with that ginger, so it's a little bit on the spicy fresh side, and then it goes into the very sweet raspberry gourmand. It's amazing. The raspberry and the caramel are just, they play together so, so nice. I love this one. Next, if you want a raspberry that is playing with rose, then I would definitely suggest Lancome's La Vie Belle and Rose. This one has rose in it, but I also pick up a very strong raspberry note in this one. This one just smells so nice. I get the original La Vie Belle DNA in this one with some rose and raspberry added in there. This to me is like a mix of the original La Vie Belle with a little bit of the intense mint and some rose. Because the same raspberry that I get in the intense mint, I get it in this one. And it just makes it this is a beautiful, beautiful flanker from the La Vie Belle line. This next raspberry is from Dolce Gabbana, and this is Dolce Gabbana Light Blue Love is Love. This one has ice cream note, it has raspberry, and then it has that original light blue DNA. So it's pretty much light blue DNA with a little bit of creaminess and raspberry. That's what I get from this one. Yeah. The raspberry in here is so good. Raspberry just has like this juicy, tart, sweet smell at the same time. So good. Yeah, so light blue with raspberry. So that's this one. This next fragrance is another Ariana Grande fragrance, and I just feel like she does raspberry in such a stunning way. And this is Ari by Ariana Grande. The raspberry in this fragrance is just addicting. It's so addicting. Yes, it's the same raspberry that you get in Thank You Next, except that here you don't have that coconut. It's more of a gourmand, sweet, sugary type of fragrance. But this to me is like a sexy fragrance. This is the type of fragrance that I like to wear when I am, you know, cuddling with my husband and we're just spending our time together after the kids are in bed. This is the type of fragrance that I like to put on. It's just sweet. It's so good. This one is so good. So I recommend these two from Ariana Grande. They are just beautiful and they both have raspberry in them. Next, let's move on to another Lancome Vie Belle flanker, and this is Intense Mint. You guys, the raspberry in here. The raspberry in here, so beautiful. This one is like a sticky, deeper. It has more depth to it. The raspberry is there, it's strong. The sweetness is there, and the original DNA is still there. I still pick it up, but that raspberry is in there and it is just amazing. I also pick up the orange blossom in this one. So this one is just a beautiful mix of orange blossom with raspberry. And I really like the benzoin in this one because benzoin can really make me sick in fragrances, but it works so beautiful in this fragrance. This is just such a nice flanker. I really, really love this one. Okay, this next one, I don't have the full size, but this is Juliet Has a Gun. You guys, this one is another, such a good one. I would say that this is Hypnotic Poison with raspberry. Yeah, so imagine Hypnotic Poison's scent, but then you added raspberry to it. That's what you get with this. But the raspberry is very present. This is a very powdery, sweet vanilla. I think that once I'm done with this, I might want to pick up a full size, but I am happy that I got this one just to try it out, because on the skin sometimes it could be a little Play-Doh-y, but that raspberry is so nice, so nice. And then my number 2 is another one that shocked me because I thought that this was going to be more of a rose fragrance, and it ended up being a raspberry beautiful fragrance. And this is also by Nina Ricci, and this is Rose Extas. And this one, I was kind of scared to wear this one. I had it in my tray I think it was last month or the one before that, and I just put it on one evening and I was expecting this to be like a rose bomb, so I was a little worried. And to my surprise, this is like a jammy rose mixed with raspberry. So raspberry is very prominent to my nose in this fragrance, and it just helps the rose to be a little bit more of a modern rose and not a vintage rose at all. This is very like romantic, flirty, sweet rose with the raspberry in there. The raspberry is very loud. It will be noticed, and it's just a lovely, lovely fragrance. And now my number one raspberry fragrance, sexy fragrance. The raspberry is just there. And this is Kenzo Flower Elixir. I hate the bottle so much. I really don't like this bottle, but I can't be mad at it because what's inside of this is magical. This to me, wow. This is the sexiest raspberry I have ever smelled in my life. And once you pick up the raspberry, that's pretty much the most prominent note that I pick up in this one. This is a sexy AF raspberry. Oh, I love it so much. And my husband really, really likes this fragrance on me. And it just warms into your skin and it just gives it like the most sexy, seductive, lickable type of fragrance. If you want to go on a date, if you have a special day with your man and you put this on, it is so good. And it is compared to Prada Candy, but Prada Candy has that benzoin note that I just cannot stomach, and it doesn't have that raspberry note that this has. And I feel like this is so much better, and I love this. These are all of the fragrances in my collection that have raspberry, and the last 10 are the top 10 that I honestly just pick up a lot of raspberry in. So I hope that this video was helpful. If you are a raspberry lover, you have a lot of options here. And comment down below if there is a fragrance that has raspberry that you love that maybe I didn't mention in this video, that maybe we need to hear about, that I can try out. So I would love to chat with you guys in the comment section. Give this video a big thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Thank you for being here with me today. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed, and I will see you guys in my next video.